Johnny Allen of the Johnny Allen 30-Minute Podcast. Welcome to December the 17th, 2024. The year's almost over. I didn't do one last, it's been a while since I've done one. Same thing. I'll kind of update you on why. I actually got a little bit of this virus cold thing that's been going around, respiratory deal for the last 2 weeks. And I've also worked a couple of events. I worked the Alabama concert at Lee Greenwood. Christmas is coming. Got some family stuff going on. So I apologize again for not coming out and doing this podcast every week like I used to. But it is what it is. But I did manage one thing. And right before Thanksgiving, I did an interview with a musician friend of mine named Stephen Hubbard, brother. Good friend of mine, a young guy, bass player. I did a Q&A with him, and I will put the link below. If you haven't had a chance to check out his YouTube channel, check it out. It's kind of a unique YouTube channel that he does. He's a really good bass player, and if you guys know, I'm a musician. If you don't know, you just found out. So I've been playing for many, many years. I got a long backstory that I won't bore you with right now. But anyway, I did an interview with Stephen Hubbard, so check that out. I'll put the link below on his YouTube channel. It was pretty nice, and thanks again, Stephen, for letting me interview you. And I checked out his show. He does a little show which you can check out on his channel, and his amplification is so loud. I mean, I had earplugs in, was holding my ears, and I'm not shy about loud stuff, but his system is so immaculate and it's just a monster of a system. It literally was like bringing plaster flakes off the ceiling and vibrating. The ceiling was actually kind of coming down. It is crazy. I mean, I ain't even blasting it out, but excuse me, I'm still kind of fighting this dang gone respiratory thing. Excuse me again. And anyway, we're going to continue on, but I wanted to share that podcast I did about, I guess, 3 or 4 weeks ago now. And it was pretty good. I really did. I enjoy interviewing guests, and I think that's something we're going to do, ramp it up at the first of the year. Excuse me, guys. This has been something else. If you guys have had this respiratory nightmare cold from hell, comment below. This thing came on just like the Saturday after Thanksgiving, I think November 30th. And I've been fighting since November 30th, and this is the 17th December. So going on 3 weeks now. It's actually getting better, but my gosh, this thing. And I wanted to not go get the flu shots and all these shots. I'm not a believer in all these vaccines. So, and I didn't go get antibiotics. I just pump in the vitamins and letting Mother Nature do its thing. So it may take a little bit longer, but I'm a believer in letting, what we were born with, fight it off. Now, if it got really, really bad, of course, I'd go see some medical attention. But right now, it's getting better. But it's just been one of those things. So if I'm coughing a little bit, excuse me. All right. As you guys know, I drink coffee on the show. Today, I'm drinking actually Cracker Barrel because I just got back from having breakfast with a wife. But I do want to endorse this one, or just share it. I don't endorse any coffees on it. Just share what I drink. So I got this as a gift over Thanksgiving. It's called Stargazer. Thank you to my aunt and uncle for giving me this bag of coffee. It's fantastic coffee. Stargazer Premium Coffee Blend, handcrafted on Earth. I don't know much about the company, but I tell you what, they're good. It's Copper Moon Coffee, guys. So if you get a chance, check it out. It's actually roasted and packed in Lafayette, Indiana. So it's pretty close to where I live. Excuse me again. So anyway, what we're going to do, I'm not going to talk a whole lot today because, this obvious cold thing. And I actually have to work a hockey game tomorrow, so I'm trying to, get over this garbage. But again, I'll share the link below. Please check out the interview with me and Steven. It's great. He's a great bass guitar player. He's a great human being. He's just a good overall person. And his dad, I know his dad and his mom real well. And his dad actually ran sound for the Hopeful band that I had a few years ago that I was in. And it's been really good. So to catch up real quick before I, ship it off to the, let you guys check out the show below, the link, the interview that I did with Steven. Just want to share a couple things. First of all, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year coming up to everybody. It's hard to believe that another year has gone by. I'm kind of surprised, but not surprised by the election results here in the U.S. of A. It doesn't really surprise me. I told a family member of mine back in the summertime, I said, listen, I think Donald Trump's going to win this. And he goes, no, I don't. I hope he does, but he goes, I don't think he's going to. He's going to get beat. He's going to get beat. He kept telling me that he's going to get beat. I said, well, I don't know about that. I said, we'll find out. But I said, if they don't cheat the election, I really feel like he's going to win, and probably in the landslide. And lo and behold, I was right, and he did win in a landslide. So I think some things are going to change. I hope for the better. I've seen better things already, at least with the stock market. So if you're not a fan of Donald Trump's or whatever, you got to look at what's going on. I went and got gas today for $2.94. I have not gotten gas for under $3 for over 2 years now. Is it because Donald Trump's going to take office in that administration? Could be. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm just praying with the new year coming up, for better things to come up. Now, with that being said, I want to touch on this drone thing a little bit. Everybody's talked about it. I'm actually tired of seeing it, tired of talking about it. Everybody's, when something happens, all the podcasters come out and they kick the dead horse over and over again. Let's jump on this drone thing. Okay. My thing is this. They really are drones, or what they call drones, or unmanned aircraft. A lot of them that the people have been seeing. They're not airplanes. I heard one guy say, oh, they're just aircraft, and people are confused with that now. Not all of them are commercial aircraft that are piloted, like when you jump on United Airlines or whatever. It's not that. There is actually an unknown to the public anyway. Aircraft that's flying over Jersey and New York and Germany and England and parts of California over military installations. My theory is, I don't know for sure, but my theory is this, that it's ours and we know about it. And we're not saying anything about it. We're either testing or we know of something going on that we're trying to capture and prevent. So I hope it's nothing bad. But usually when the military is doing something like this and they're doing their psyops or whatever, they're not going to tell you, and they're going to act dumb to the public. But when that stuff happens, it usually means it's not good. So I'm praying that it is nothing bad. But I got a feeling. That's all I got to say. Hopefully not, though. It's not rocket science, and it's not something that's unless you live under a rock. It's something that's known from a lot of people that Donald Trump is an anti-establishment kind of guy. He is not a one-worlder, and they don't like him, the powers that be. I've talked about this in podcasts before. You can go back and see previous episodes, and that's why they did everything they can in their power to keep him out of power. He's going to be in power, so all I got to say is, they're not going to stop trying. That's all. That's it. You guys come to your own conclusion on that, whatever. But these New Jersey drones and unidentified aircraft, I do believe that they're ours, or we know about it, and they're not telling us because number one, they don't want to scare the public. That could be it, or they just want to keep it under wraps for security reasons, as far as like getting out to the adversaries of the world. In other words, they don't want to broadcast it's ours and stuff because foreign entities will be looking into it and say, hey, what's the U.S. got going over there? Let's start spying. Could be a divert attention thing, like, okay, look, don't look over here because we want you to look over here kind of thing, you know? It could be that too. There's a couple theories that I have, but you know, at the end of the day, the way I look at it is that you know, the Creator's going to watch over us, and if you're a person of faith, you keep your faith, and you know, you don't really worry about what's going on. There's nothing that personally I can do or anybody else can do to prevent something that we don't know flying around in our airspace. I mean, I can't. And some people were saying, oh, you know, just shoot him down. And I'm with Alverson Tanum. If you guys don't know him, Tanum, look him up. He's got a great podcast. I like him. But I like what he said. He said, my suggestion is don't shoot him down. And that's my suggestion. Don't shoot him down because it's a federal crime to shoot anything in the airspace. So it's just my own personal thing. I'm not going to try to shoot something down. And Officer Tanner made a good point about these drones. If you were to shoot one, who's to say it wouldn't explode or leak some kind of toxic chemicals or something that can hurt people? So yeah, not a good idea to try to shoot it down. I highly suggest not doing that. I have another sip of coffee, but I'm not gonna let the drones or whatever's flying around or whatever weird stuff going on ruin my Christmas and my New Year's coming up. I'm just not going to do it. You know, colds, whatever. I'm just really not going to try to let it bring me down. That's it. Touch up on the music thing real quick. I'm going to ramp up my music coming up the first of the year. I got some tunes laid down on my recorder that I'm going to do. I did just put a thing out called Vikings Charge about a month ago. That's a sample of some of the stuff that I'm doing musically for libraries. As far as being in the band, not happening with me at this point. Basically, I'm going to say this in a nutshell. I'm just kind of disappointed. And I speak for my brother as well. My brother's a drummer. We've been in a lot of bands together. To name a few, New York Street back in the 90s, Gypsy Runner back in the 80s, Crossroads Saints in the early 2000s, and in the middle 2000s, Resurrected, and a couple projects in between. The Hopeful Band that I put together was a charity band. But the thing is, I'm trying to say in a nutshell, I'm just kind of burned out on relying on other people in a band situation, and basically heartbroken about it, all these bands that had disintegrated. Mike and I have always been one to be a team player with everybody that's been in any of our bands, and really just put our heart, soul, and money and everything into these projects throughout the years. And really the straw that broke the camel's back was with the Saints. Now, we had some unforeseen tragic things happen with that group, and you know, our keyboard player got into a tragic accident, which left him hardly to play. He recovered for the most part, but we don't know what happened, but something happened in that situation, and I'm not going to dwell on it or try to put my 2 cents in and try to read other people's minds, because I can't, or what their thoughts are. But in a nutshell, Crossroads Saints fell apart, and it's a shame the way it did. Just for the record, I really put my heart and soul into that band. I resurrected that band in the early 2020, really. 2019. I started talking to Mike and Daryl about putting this band back together because I really believed in our music, and it happened, and we put together a really good album, and you can still get it. Just look up Crossroads Saints. But after we recorded the record, and the reason why I'm sharing the story, guys, because I got some emails and I got personal phone calls and stuff and say, hey, what's going on with the Saints? I haven't heard anything. So I'm kind of putting it out there from my perspective, from what I see and what I saw and what I experienced as being a third member of the band, a third of the band. So anyway, we put the record together during the pandemic. We call it the pandemic record, really. It's Actually, it's called A Song of Your Own. You guys, like I said, you can look it up, and I encourage you to download it and enjoy it. Very proud of the record. Like I said, put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into the record. And Daryl got into that unfortunate accident where at a birthday party, a deck collapsed and he got hurt real bad. And that was really scary. And I prayed for him, and it was bad. Okay, he, like I said, he recovered. We ended up being able to finish the record, the last couple songs in the studio, although he was struggling a bit, and I think he would even admit that because things got hurt on him physically, really bad. I mean, he's lucky to be alive. Actually, it's a miracle, and thank God he is. But the record got completed, and then there was some just some personal things that came up, which I can't explain. Not really on my end of it. I really don't know. But the shame of it is it's basically just he just fell off away from Mike and I. That's all I got to say about it. It's like missing in action, and some kind of cross things were said. I mean, I'm being honest about it. I don't hold any grudges or anything against anybody. I don't. But there was some differences in opinions, especially between Daryl and I, and it was nothing bad. It's more a political thing, and Daryl's very passionate about his political agenda, and he makes that pretty known. And I think that just got in the way of everything, and it just kind of spiraled. And as of now, it's just no longer. The band's no longer. We never got together and officially said, hey, we're done with it. But Daryl wanted to hand over the website, and he kind of just washed his hands of it. I mean, basically, as far as I know. But that's all I know when it comes to the Crossroads Saints. Now, since then, very discouraging and very, hurtful to me, because I felt like not only did we lose a good band, but I lost a good friend. It was pretty sad. And like I said, it comes down to, I think, a difference in some opinions with the political aspects, which I don't think political aspects should get in the way of a friendship, a family, or a band, or anything like that. When you have a really good, deep bond with a family member or band or whatever the relationship may be, when you're really close, you can have a difference of opinions on like political or even musical differences. And that shouldn't really get in the way of a good friendship. But unfortunately, and like I said, no fault of my own, because I never said, hey, bye-bye, but I was told bye-bye. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. So that's what happened. Sad. But since that happened, I continued on with my own music and just writing and got my publishing deal, and I'm just going on that way. So that's a little background history on hopefully that answers questions to people that have been asking me, what's going on with the Crossroads Saints. Especially over the Thanksgiving holiday, I had some family members and just good friends of mine that, just said, hey, John, by the way, what's going on with the Saints? So I told them, watch this podcast, and that clarified it. So I'm kind of moving on with that. It's sad that chapter, that story and the chapter has been read and the pages have been turned to the next chapter, I guess. So with that being said, I'm doing my own music and just creating and doing interviews like I did with Steven. Now, Steven and I are thinking about it. We don't know, it's not in stone, but we're thinking about doing a little music video project together. We may call it Old School Meets Young School, or Old School and Young School. I don't know. Something funny like that, because, I'm old enough to be Steven's father. So there's like a 30-year difference there almost. But he's like I said, great young man, great bass player. And the funny thing is, he likes the same kind of music that I grew up to. You guys will catch that all in the interview below. And please check it out. Like I said, the link's going to be there. But I'm hanging in there. I'm doing the best I can. I always tell my wife I do the best I can with what I got to work with, I'm looking forward to Christmas. It's a little melancholy because my mother's in really bad physical shape right now in this, I don't know. So we're just trying to do the best we can to celebrate with her and to be with her during these times. My Thanksgiving was great. I got to see family I haven't seen for a year, so it worked out really nice. Hopefully yours worked out nice, and hopefully your holidays are good coming up. I got all my Christmas shopping done. This is kind of like I guess today the podcast is like, yeah, I'm just sharing, you know. And like I said, I wanted to get the Crossroads Saints thing out and from my perspective and what I seen happen. And I wanted to kind of explain where it went because I don't know if I can't speak for other people, but I don't think the other two guys are going to tell you where it went. So, and since I've been questioned about where it went, hopefully that cleared it up. I just recommend that in life, you know, and I'm going to just kind of dig deep here, guys, and I hope you're still listening to what I'm saying because, you know, as I dig deeper in life and as I get older, I don't let a lot of things bother me anymore, and things are going to work out the way they're going to work out no matter what. You just take what's given to you. That's why I say I do the best with what I got to work with. I say that not as a negative thing. I say that as a thing that is a thing, if that makes sense. You have to take a situation that you're in, make the best of that situation, and keep rolling forward the best that you can. Enjoy every day like it's your last, because one day it will be. All this stuff you guys have probably heard before, but as you get older, it's so true that is it in life. That does happen. That is it. You realize this is it. And I want to touch one more thing, one more topic before I let you guys go and let you check out the interview. We just had a fatal shooting, another terrible senseless school shooting yesterday. Easy for me to say. Which was a Christian school, which sort of surprises me if it doesn't. I told my wife, I said, well, you're going to get all the Christian bastards coming out now and saying, see, Christians aren't all that perfect and all that. But, I'm going to say one thing as being a Christian man. No one's ever claimed that we're perfect. We're actually a lot of imperfect people that are trying to basically reach out to Christ and grab a hold of Christ as for guidance and share it with everybody else because we're all flawed. We're all flawed, right? So this took place in a Christian school, supposedly in Wisconsin, very tragic, by a 15-year-old girl, which is very surprising. But I'm gonna wrap that subject up with this thing here. Here's my thoughts on why all this stuff's happening, no matter if it's a public school, a Christian school, whatever. Okay, back in the 70s when I grew up, and even in the early 80s, it was very, very seldom ever thought of or heard of somebody killing somebody, and less likely to be a school shooting, excuse me. That just didn't happen much back then. You never heard about it. It may happen maybe once in a blue moon, if it ever happened at all, right? We never heard of that back then. So I got to thinking about what has changed from the 70s to now, 2024, almost 2025. And I'm going to tell you what's changed. It's social media, and it's the press, and it's media, it's TV, it's movies, it's all the stuff that's visual now to young kids. It's the wokeness that's visual now. And before you beat up on me about the wokeness, I'm going to just explain something to you, especially the younger people, because I grew up in the 70s, right? I was there. Younger people that didn't grow up in the 70s may read about and think they know about it, but they really don't. I was there. I know, okay? We didn't have all the social media. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have smartphones. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have computers. So, and the TV back then was pretty basic, right? And it was just fun, good old-fashioned television. The weirdest thing that we saw was H&R Puffin stuff, right? That was probably the weirdest things. Land of the Lost for kids to watch, things like that. You guys can look it up on you. But it was pretty innocent back then. Young kids did not have the pressure to try. We never had this issue. Never was brought up that how do you identify, right? That was never even a question, right? If you were born a guy or a girl, that's what you were. That's what you are, That back then, that was never even a subject. You just never heard of it, right? And the homosexual thing was going on back then, but not like it is today. It was just like, we knew that there was gay people, and we were like, okay, that's whatever they want to do. And that was it. I mean, there was never big parades and celebrations of it and all that. And I'm not saying right or wrong, but this is where I'm going with why I think there's these why young kids are so messed up with these shootings and stuff. So we didn't have the video games. We didn't have all this media, promoting this, that, and the other thing. We didn't have all that, right? We just had simple shows and simple stuff. We were innocent, really. We were innocent because we wasn't exposed to all this junk that's being exposed to now. All of it was political, whatever. I mean, and right now it's just like a chaotic nightmare. You get on the cell phone, and we didn't even have, like I said, we didn't have cell phones. So we went outside and we played. Guess what? We built tree forts and hay forts, and we fished in creeks, and we played in creeks, and we were outside all the time. Okay, we were outside all the time. We were just outside all the time. It was great. We never had any problems. We really didn't. We just really didn't have any problems. Okay, none whatsoever. Hopefully my audio's still good because this is weird. Okay, yeah, we never had any problems. Okay, we just didn't. So I think what's going on now with the shootings and stuff is because kids are getting brainwashed and they're exposed to so much crap. Just like the guy that shot the CEO guy. They're getting exposed to so much bombardment of unhealthy stuff. I'm just going to be honest with you. That is confusing and brainwashing these kids. And they're just bombarded by shit. I mean, to say it bluntly, shit is being bombarded. And when I was growing up as a kid, we didn't have all this shit. We didn't. Okay? So that's really, in my opinion, my humble opinion, that's what's going on. Kids are exposed to too much stuff. They have to make too many decisions. In other words, how do you identify as? I mean, I'm filling out job applications. They say, how do you identify as? Well, I said, well, what do you mean how I identify? I'm a male. To me, these questions are ridiculous. It's gone down this rabbit hole that is just totally bizarre. These kids can't figure it out. They're like, oh, wait a minute. Am I gay, lesbian, straight, pansexual, bisexual, quadsexual, blah, 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 sexual, whatever? Kids shouldn't have to even think about that. That shouldn't even be a thing. So they got that thing going on and they're trying to figure it out because they're exposed to, oh gosh, I gotta come up with an answer. What am I? They can't just accept that. Okay, I was born as a female or a male. That's it. Period. Boom. End of the day. Easy, right? No problems, no worries, no have to think about it. Nowadays, the kids got to be so careful about how they say stuff. Everything's got to be so correct. It's you can't offend anybody. And if somebody believes something different than you, then you got to hate on them. Okay, that's kind of what happened with my band situation. One member didn't like the way I was doing things politically or what I like politically, hating on me. This stuff right here is just nonsense. And when you got a 15-year-old kid going out and getting a gun and shooting up people because they're mad at the world or they're confused because they're exposed to too much junk, we got to get back to the basics. And I mean, seriously, basics, or it's just all going to be just chaotic and these kids are so confused. I mean, my life's more than half over. So I just look at it as sadness, like, okay, gosh, I want my grandkids to have what I had. And I don't want them to have to worry about how they identify. I just don't want that they have to worry about all this stuff and have to pretend to be something they're not or pretend to be something to fit in. Now, I had a little bit of that peer pressure back in the day when I was growing up. Mine was more rock and roll. Okay, I wanted to dress like the rock and rollers and stuff like that. There's always been kind of that little thing. And I guess that's okay to an extent. But when you really get down deep into okay, got to figure out your sexuality and stuff, that's when it starts getting a little bit over the top. And it's too many worries for a kid. They don't need to worry about that stuff. Just worry about getting an education, going to school, getting a good job. Don't worry about your political things. Just pray for freedom and financial security. That's really what anybody wants. To be able to have a good paycheck and be able to afford houses and their bills and stuff like that. You don't want to have to worry about how you identify. I mean, I think it's ridiculous when we got to fill out an application or even get a blood test or something, and you got this questionnaire and you got to fill out all these answers. Okay, like, are you a U.S. citizen? Are you this? Are you Hispanic? Are you white? Are you black? Are you in between? How you? Okay, that's one thing. But then they ask you, how you identify as what's your sexual orientation? What do you identify as sexually? To me, that's ridiculous. Come on, guys, really think about it. I mean, that's just we've gone way too far. I mean, and that's why the kids are messed up, and that's why the kids are shooting things and shooting people, and why they're acting up because they're brainwashed, confused. That stuff needs to stop, right? You need to stop flying drones around and not telling people what they are. You're freaking kids out again, and adults. You're freaking people out. You're telling them that they got to be this way, kids. They got to act this way. You got to accept certain things, and you got to be certain things. Just leave them alone. Just let them be kids. Okay? Just leave them alone. Let them be kids. They don't have to try to figure out what they are, especially in a sexual orientation. Okay, go let them be kids. For God's sakes, really. I mean, it's ridiculous, folks. I mean, it seriously is. That's 30 minutes already, guys. I'm going to get out of here. Anyway, I'm going to leave you on that note. Happy holidays coming up. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. Just try not to worry about the world stuff. Treat your neighbors and people kindly, I have nothing against people that are not like me. I mean, I went to the grocery store with my grandson over the weekend. I'll show you a story real quick. And there was two young lesbian couple, and probably 18, 19. They were having trouble getting carts apart, grocery carts pulling apart. I just simply helped them. I said, "Can I help you guys?" "Yeah, that'd be great." And I separated the carts for them. I said, you ladies have a nice day." And they said, "Thank you," and went on their way. And they were nice to me, and I was nice to them. There was no problem, But the problem I have is when the kids are in school and they're trying to teach all this stuff and force feed these kids to learn all these questionable things that they don't really need to question. In other words, there's subjects that really doesn't even need to be brought up. It's like they've dreamed up these things. Like, how do you identify? They dream these things up. I don't know where they grab them from, but they dream these things up, and they put more pressure on kids. And that's kids can't handle it. A lot of them, they can't handle it, and they don't need to handle it. They don't need that stuff, right? They just don't need it. Why? That's my question. Why? So leave the kids alone. Just like Pink Floyd says, "Teacher, leave the kids alone." That's so true today. It's a different thing today, but it's the same principle. Leave the kids alone. Let them be kids. Let them grow up. Let them experience stuff in life. Let them go out and hike on trails, wilderness, get away from the social media and all that junk for a while. That's the problem. Can it be fixed? I don't know. We'll see. But in my humble opinion, that's why there's a lot of problems going on, is because kids are simply confused because they're bombarded by all kinds of stuff that's not healthy. All kinds of stuff. Not just one subject, but everything. Right? So that's it. Need to get back to basics, get back to healthy stuff. Just let kids play and let them be kids. That's it. That's all I got to say today. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And check out the interview I have with Steven about the music thing. I think you guys will enjoy it. Hopefully, to sum it up, hopefully Crossroads Saints fans out there, I'm not discouraging to go get the record. I'm encouraging to go ahead and go get the record, But as far as the band playing out or doing anything in the future, I just don't see it happening unless there's some kind of transformation that I don't know is going to happen. I never say never, but I just say right now that's not happening. So, but like I say, I encourage you to go out and still get the record. I'm proud of all the work I did on the record. Did a lot of good work, a lot of good bass playing, a lot of good bass lines on that record. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but it wouldn't be the same record if Mike and I went on there. I mean, it just wouldn't be. So, anyway, you guys have a good holidays. And happy Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I'll catch you next year. And we'll be doing some more interviewing type things like you're going to see with the Steven interview. I like doing that more so than just me solo talking and sharing. I think we're going to do more of that. I think that'd be more interesting and just something I want to gravitate to. Anyway, be safe, be healthy. Try to stay away from these cold viruses if you can, or whatever they are. Okay, just be safe. and enjoy it. I'll catch you next time, guys. Thanks.